Good evening. It's currently 9 p.m. and you're listening to the 9 o'clock Meltdown, showcasing favorite and up-and-coming local artists with a relaxed coffee house vibe, plus interviews, live studio performances, and more. It's all here on 91.3 KUWS Superior. Now, here's your host for the evening, Simply C.
All right, I think I got it here. Do you want to give me a level quick?
Yeah, you know what? I'm heading over to our bus right now, so I can be a little bit quieter around me. I'm out in Grand Rapids, Michigan right now.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah, and the venue that we're playing is right off the interstate, so to step out, there's an overpass of the highway, literally right about 30 feet from me.
Oh, I thought I heard something in the background, but I just assumed you were back home.
No. Yeah, I wish. We haven't been home for, 6 weeks or something like that.
Oh, wow. So very much so touring.
Yeah.
Do you want to,
right.
How is touring going for you? We'll just jump right into it.
The touring has been great. This fall tour, has been probably the best tour we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the busiest we've ever been, but it's been probably I'm certain to say it's the most rewarding. It's been the most rewarding for us.
All right. That sounds great. I like it when people tell me things are rewarding, whether that's writing a paper or, in your case, playing music.
Right. Well, it's a hard thing to. Touring is a very difficult thing, and there's, to do it well, most of the time we all feel like we're just spinning our wheels,
Mm-hmm.
like we're just out here doing it, and is anyone paying attention? And you can live your lives like that, and then. But as soon as you're really busy and you need it a bunch of places, you're like, wow, this is really effective and it's really great. And incidentally, holy cow, I'm so tired and exhausted because we've been really getting our butt kicked out here.
I can attest to that. Up here in the Northland, I volunteer and work several jobs, and I'm going. Like last night, I went from 3 a.m. all the way to 9:30 p.m. without stopping. So. Oh,
man. And you're up in Superior, right?
I am.
How cold is it there already?
It is, off and on. It's definitely jacket weather, but it's not bust out the boots, mittens and hats.
I'll tell you what, I'm bummed. I just found out that the venue that we would play up in Marquette, Michigan, up there in the UP, was this place, Up Front and Company. I guess it just shut down.
Oh, no.
It closed its doors, and we were super bummed about that because we're like, oh no, I don't know where else we'll be, heading up there and playing, and because the UP is such a beautiful spot, and we would drive through Superior and Duluth, heading out on our way to Minneapolis. When we would go through there, and we'd stop at the Duluth Cafe, and they had amazing sort of. What's the word I want to, it's not, we've got a couple guys in the band that are vegan, but most of us are just sort of, pescatarian or, where we're always, we try to eat healthy, so if you've never been to Duluth Cafe, have you ever been there?
I have.
Oh, man, that place is so good.
Oh, I know. It really is amazing. Also, you should try out Sarah's Table if you ever come through here, too. And then I can label off cafes, like 5 different ones. But right. I'm not going to bore you with that. So
we'll have to check out Sarah's Table.
Yes, all right. Sarah's Table. And then if you really want to go out on the limb, you should check out either The Grace, which is down in Canal Park. Canal Park is still beautiful this time of year. And then out in West End, there is Beaner Central. And forgive me, I'm name dropping right now.
No, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, we love it. I just got so excited. I just bought some Michigan apples. We were in Ann Arbor and stopped at the farmer's market, got some Sweet Tango apples, and bought some. We wound up buying some, I think, very expensive but really delicious jerky. So that's one of the few things that we're like, oh well, we try to stay away from meat, but if it's really good jerky, we're like, oh, we are guys on the road. So
I like it. You bend your own rules just a little bit.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
I'm a little bit bummed out, actually. I missed Apple Festival, which is held in Bayfield, Wisconsin. And it was several weekends ago, and they have apple everything. Except apparently this year they did not do apple cider, which kind of...
What?
Yeah. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. But,
oh, man, I've been living on apple cider here this tour. I love it. I like the way it makes my throat feel, too, when we sing. So if and when at all possible, I'm always hunting for a warm glass of apple cider.
Yeah. But if you're ever in the upper Wisconsin area in mid-October, I would suggest hitting up Applefest, since it kind of sounds like you guys are into apples.
I do love apples, and I'm a giant fan of the Ohio Honeycrisp apple.
But, yeah. That's a good apple.
Yeah, there's a new apple, and that sounds so silly to say a new apple, but they cross-pollinated a zester apple and a Honeycrisp apple, and they've been growing them up in Michigan, and they're called Sweet Tango apples. So they're probably the best, grab an apple and just eat it as a sweet snack kind of apple you'll ever eat.
Oh, I will have to pick some up then.
Yeah, I'm a salesman. I'm trying to sell.
There you
go.
go.
Sweet tangos to the public so they can be readily available to me whenever we stop somewhere. I don't have to hunt for them as hard.
Exactly. So, like you were saying a little bit earlier, you introduced yourself. You're the lead singer of Red Wanting Blue.
That's right.
Very catchy name.
Thank you.
As soon as I heard it, it kind of just stuck with me, and I was like, oh, Red Wanting Blue, what is this band? Blah, blah. So I had to look you up on YouTube. And now to compare for listeners out there, you kind of remind me of Pert and Your Sandstone a little bit. Just kind of like, several guys getting together and making kind of more raw, crisp kind of music. And now, how did that kind of come about? Did you just kind of meet these guys on the road somewhere or in college, and it kind of just formulated itself?
I knew very early that I wanted to be a musician, or I wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and college was where I started the band. So in its, very earliest beginnings, its infancy, the band was started in Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, where I studied theater. But when I graduated, I really did want to take the band on as a career, so I reformed the band up in Columbus, because Columbus was the closest, biggest, city around Athens. I love it, but it was, it's a smaller town, and we needed a bigger city to kind of base ourselves from. So from Columbus, we decided to start touring, do-it-yourself, mom and pop, around 2000, and we've been doing it for the last 12 years. We wound up signing with a label a few years ago, which has been, very helpful to us, because but at the same time, they're also a very mom and pop type label. They really have. We seem to have the same type of ideas or ideals, so we're helping each other, and it's been really, really awesome. It's been a great time, great experience. I wish I could say that we met and with the stars aligned and things like that happened, but our band formed the band that we have now. Though I started it when I was younger, some members have come and gone, and I think that seems to be the way it has to work for a lot of bands as they continue, as you evolve musically and you begin to like other things. And when you were a kid, all you know is what you've listened to and what you want to emulate. And then as you get real life experience and you go out in the world and you get to see things and you sort of become the person that you have grown into, you realize that you're standing and playing with people that you might not share the same musical tastes anymore with, or people want to go and do different things. And so I've always tried to surround myself with people that share and have passion for the music that we are working on. And it's a very hard thing. It's like finding a wife, or a husband out there. When you're looking for a person that you want to have as like a life partner in music, it's tough. So I'm very, very proud of being able to, going in all of the rabbit holes that life has taken us through to, find and uncover these people that we now play with, and I call my family, and that's the band. So.
Mm-hmm. Very, very insightful and very awesome. I enjoy to hear that things can evolve just because, up here we've got a lot of different bands and things like that, and most of them, are welcomed and become somewhat successful. I mean, they release CDs and things like that. But then I also see, several of them kind of peter out and die, and it's like, no, you had, there was something there. You just hadn't found it yet. Keep going. But
yeah, it's a tough thing. One of the things I deal with all the time, Crystal, is because this band has been around for a while. There is a certain amount of re-educating that you might have to give people when they think, oh, I've heard this band 10 years ago, or I know that band.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can take any artist and listen to their early work and then listen to their later work, and I would say 9 times out of 10. There's a musical growth there. There's an arc, and you say, wow, they don't sound like they did when they started, And so when you have the name, I've kept this name because the name still means the same thing to me, and it's still, it's the umbrella that we all stand under musically. I think that that's why I've never bothered to say, I'm done with this name and I want to move on to a new name and give people a newer, hip name or mask the same musicians under a different name, mm-hmm. just to try to make it seem fresh and new and repackage it. I don't know. I believe in family, and I believe in the carrying on of a name if it means enough to you, and so that's why we are. The band has been around since, its earliest beginnings were 1996, and we've been touring the country for 12 years, since 2000, yet, we have a drummer who's been with us for, he's the baby of the group, and he's been with us for about 3 years, so.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. What does the name mean to you, Red Wanting Blue?
I figured you would ask that. It's a name that I sometimes worry about even giving it away because.
Well, if you don't want to, that's fine too.
No, it's okay because I think it's important, especially with the conversation that we're having. When I first started, and the lyrics were, on cocktail napkins and scrambled pieces of paper, and there was a lot of words and things going around. It was a part of that, and I loved the way it sounded, and the use of primary colors, there's so much imagery in it. There's so much. I mean, you could say hammer wanting nail, and people have a pretty clear image of what that is. Mm-hmm. But when you take a color and you say, Crystal, what do you think of when I say red, or when you think of the color red, or you think of the color blue? There's so much imagery, and people can take what they want from that. There's so much to draw from, and I also liked its simplicity. I liked that when we were kids, the earliest poetry we learned was roses are red and violets are blue, and I more than anything, I liked that they are complete opposites. They are separate entities, So there's something to be said about wanting something that you are not designed to be, because I believe it's the human condition to fight that. We fight that as human beings. We are born without wings, yet we figured out how to fly. We figured out how to fly pretty well. Mm-hmm. We figured out how to take pictures of planet Earth from another planet. And, all being people with, who aren't capable of flying, or not capable of breathing underwater yet. We figured out how to do it. And I think it's the human condition to persevere through what limitations we've been given. And I think that as a musician and as a writer, and as, and as an artist, we're constantly trying to break through barriers and walls within ourselves. And so it's not a defeatist, because I've had some people say, wow, well, if you're not it's something you're not designed to be, I mean, will you ever be successful? It's sort of like accepting you'll never be there, mm-hmm. But I look at it more like, writing songs is a life art. It's the kind of thing I think you'll be you can live your whole life and say, I've never been able to be a master of it, but to get it keeps you going. The carrot, the metaphorical carrot on the rope. Baiting you across the desert. I think if you stop and you look back, and if you really did focus on that and work on that and believe in it, I think you'd be amazed that when you turn around, how far you actually go.
Yeah.
That's at least my romantic hope and belief.
And that's perfectly fine. So it's something that's very much so evolving and constantly in motion.
Yeah. I think, so I apologize to all listeners that was a very long and drawn-out story about that. But
that is okay.
In its simplest form, it's going after something that you're not designed to be, but doing it anyway, because we're stubborn.
We are a very stubborn species.
Yeah, we're stubborn, and we're arrogant, and we think we can do anything, and but we put our minds to it. And I believe that a lot of the time, we surprise ourselves. I mean, I'm here. I am. I'm talking to you on the radio. I'm just a kid writing songs, and never thought that anybody would really get to hear them. And so we surprise ourselves all the time. We work at it.
Well, very cool, very cool. When you first started out, obviously you kind of lent to my next question itself already, that you didn't think, it would really go anywhere. I mean, is that something that you truly thought that, hey, this will just be a hobby of mine and we'll see where it goes?
Well, when I was young and fearless, you think, oh, we're going to be humongous. I had like 2 songs written, and I'm like, oh, this band's going to be amazing. We're going to be huge. And then you actually go into, start working at it as a career, and you realize you're like, wow, man, I thought I was 3/4 across the lake, and realized that I'm still like in the shallow water. I haven't even come close, and I've heard some much better writers and artists than me say that I've heard several people say that it's not a race. There is no finish line. You will keep going forever and ever. And so I think at some point when the party dies out and the drinking becomes not important, or all of the stuff that people seem to think goes along with being in a rock and roll band, I mean, all of those things crumble away, and really what you're left with is, do you want to perform and tell your story? And do you, and I think that if the answer to that question is yes, you realize, we're lifers at this. We're going to be circus folk, and this is just what we'll do. This is how I do it. I know of no other real way to live my life, at least as of yet, and that's okay with me. That's okay with, I think but it's not for everybody. And I think that's why bands do, some bands peter out. Some people the road is a very, very difficult place. It's a very frustrating place to live. That's the title of our record, From the Vanishing Point, is, because at this point, it was almost a play on words. It was a tip of the cap to Bruce Springsteen. I almost wanted to put greetings in front of it, to have it say greetings from the vanishing point, because we've been living on the road so long.
Mm-hmm. And now the road has been treating you very well, it sounds like.
The pavement has certainly gotten smoother here lately, which has been really great for us.
Well, that's always good to hear. And of course, in the beginning, it was probably rocky and rough, and a gravel road with bunches of potholes and yada yada.
Oh yeah.
What kind of difficulties did you face when you kind of started out and now?
What difficulties?
Yes.
Well, again, like what I said before about when we were discussing bands petering out. I mean, to try to keep the attention of other musicians and other writers and getting people to collectively believe in a project is a very difficult thing. That's why I think a lot of indie bands are a lot like sharks. If you stop, you die. You must keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. So I've always felt that way. I always felt that if we stay busy and we keep moving and we keep playing, that ultimately people are going to be too engulfed in what we're doing to worry about other projects and other things. And so that was, over the years trying to, manage the hectic and maniacal schedule that we made for ourselves was always difficult. And it's a life, Crystal, at least the one, everybody's got a different playbook and everybody's got a different set of rules, and but at least my personal experience of being in a band is it's not a life where you can, some walk the walk and some talk the talk. It really becomes, we know you can walk the walk. Everybody can walk the walk. How long can you walk the walk before you ultimately say, you know what, I think I'm good. I've got college loans to pay and I can't do this anymore, or I want to settle down with my lover and we want to get married and have children, and it's tough. There's sacrifices constantly being made that are always overlooked, and but at the same time, it's such a gratifying career that when I hate being a person who sounds like I would be ungrateful or I've sacrificed so much, because I would do it all again the same way. When it is what you love to do, it's what you love to do. I mean, I don't think of we don't look at them like sacrifices. We just look at you look at it like these are the things that need to be done to keep us doing what we do. Mm-hmm. So they are difficulties, and they're I would say because I'm especially stubborn, and I spent the first 10 years of my career doing it all by myself and not wanting any help from anybody, I learned a lot of the obstacles. I probably should have read more or asked more questions from more experienced people to avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the speed bumps that I seem to constantly bump into. So that would probably be my only regret. If I could have done something different, I wouldn't have been so proud. I would have asked a lot more questions.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Sounds good. You can always learn from somebody else, right?
Oh God, I learn every day. I'm shocked at how little I seem to know. That's the one thing I seem to know, is that I don't ever know enough, and we're always learning.
Very true. Very true. But I'm sure you know a lot.
Well.
Oh, you brushed that one off.
Yeah, I know. I was almost, I don't even want to go there.
It's just fine. It's just fine. So you were saying that, you've been around for a while. The name has been around. The band, in essence, has been around for a while. But you said that you have a newer drummer. How do you go about finding someone new? Do you kind of, put up an ad, or is it just kind of through knowing other people?
Yeah, I never really did that. I mean, we definitely, over the years, as people have had to come or go, and I feel pretty, when I say that, to those listening out there, in Marcus, who is our bass player, he's been with me for 13 years, and Greg, who is not, he's an original member, but we were originally a 4-piece, and we added him as a 5th, and he's been with us for going on 9 years. And and Eric has been with us for over 5 years, and who's our guitar player. And Dean, our drummer, has been with us for we're now over 3 years. I think that's a lot. That's a long time. That's a long time to find people. But sometimes, it is difficult, especially when you're an already moving train. Like we were already playing. We already had schedules. So when those things happen, we've always been fortunate that we have a community of other musicians and friends. Dean, our drummer, he actually played in another band that we were friends with and had done shows with. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say that we stole him from the other band. I think there's probably a more diplomatic way of saying that, but but we share the same interests, and when you see that stuff happen, you just, you reach out, you ask people, hey, would you want to fill in, or would you want to try it? Would you want to play with us for a little bit? And then when you click, I think it becomes pretty apparent pretty quickly. You're like, oh wow, this is really something I want to do, or it's something I don't want to do. And so we've been fortunate. I look, and it's as important as your ability to perform. Your personality, and if you're like, can I sleep next to this person in a vehicle? Can I hang out with this person in the wee hours of the morning at the Duluth Cafe, or wherever we seem to find ourselves? It really is. It's a brotherhood and it's a family, and so that stuff matters.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that you all get along.
We try our best. We fight like cats and dogs too, though. But,
I think everybody does at some point in time.
It's you have to have communication.
Yep, exactly. Communication is key to just about anything or everything.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to look at that.
True. Very true.
So, lyric-wise, let's divulge into lyrics here for a little bit. Do you ever, obviously lyrics and, music and things like that, it comes from the heart, and it's, can be a very personal thing. Do you write more about kind of a blanket of things, or do you divulge into the heart of the matter and the personal?
I try very hard to fight my own instincts, to guard myself, and I'm trying to write down as much of what I'm feeling as I can, and it's still hard for me to do that. But I've come to find over the years, usually if it feels like it's a little too close to the chest to discuss, mm-hmm. usually you're on to something. My longtime partner, Jennifer, she's been with me for over 12 years, and there's a song. We are not married, but there's a song called "The Band" on our record, "These Magnificent Miles," that touches on exactly what you're talking about, which is it's very personal, and it discusses the matter of marriage and the future. And I remember writing it and thinking, God, I don't think I can even sing this for my own band. I'm embarrassed, and I don't know. And the band seemed to love the song, and I remember having major reservations about letting that song out, but at the end of the day, once you write it, it really. Jeff Tweedy says, once you write it, it's no longer yours; it belongs to everybody, and so you gotta accept that. But I think that listeners will. I think people are not. People are smart. It registers when they feel like they're hearing something that's really that's honest, mm-hmm. And that's the good stuff, like that is like the meat of what we're all doing, that's something that I feel like I'll never be the world's greatest singer, Crystal, and I don't think I'll ever be the world's greatest performer, but I can hope that people will walk away from a show of ours and say, man, that guy just he put it all out there, mm-hmm. And and when I say that, it's like, I've heard some people get way too involved in details and say, you still have to, you still as a songwriter have to craft it in a way that it's, something that everybody can understand. And you don't want to talk about how, you don't want to talk about bill collecting and, or whatever, like the actual, really, really, the small stuff. But I think that when it comes down to it, as a writer, you do have to talk about the personal stuff. If you try to avoid it, you will be left with music or lyrics that really I don't think people will find affect them. That's at least me anyway, we've all heard songs where people talk about the river of their emotions, or their soul is bare, and, yearning souls. And, it's just, I think we've all become very detached from those type of cliched lines. And I think mm-hmm. that sometimes you need something to grab a hold of you. And the only way I know how to do that is to kind of dig deeper. And I'm a very autobiographical writer too. It's not something I'm still trying to master my own life and writing about that before, entering like a new level of like some of America's great songwriters who can just sort of, make their own stories. I think which is amazing. I think it's outstanding. It's something I hope to do one day. I hope to get to a point where I can, tell such, as detailed a story, from nothing. But the silver lining to my stories are when people say, wow, that's a great story, or I really love the lyrics to that song. I can say, yeah, okay, well, that's good because it really happened. So I write about real life as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. Well, very insightful and amazing way to look at writing lyrics. Just a couple other people I talk to and things like that, they'll tell stories about other people, or they'll maybe have one incident happen to them and they'll write a song about it, but they don't really go beyond that. So I think, yeah. I'm thinking more in the top 40 realm, but
right. Well, I think that at the end of the day, if you remain guarded,
mm-hmm.
if you as an artist remain guarded, then how do you expect any listener to meet you halfway?
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to meet your audience more than halfway,
mm-hmm.
and and it's not always you don't always have to give up your Social Security number in your song. You can, but I think that you do have to give, and you can always. I at least for me anyway, I get the sense for writers very quickly, and like one of my personal favorite lines of all time is by Conor Oberst when he says, if you hate the taste of wine, how come you drink it till you're blind? And if you say that there's no truth, and who cares, how come you say it like you're right? And where you could say, somebody could have said, you think you're right all the time, but
mm-hmm.
there's a way of saying it. The way he cleverly chose to say it, it's just like, wow, that's a great line. Or there's just so many great writers out there, and I think that one of the things, they all seem to have accepted that they're going to leave their personal egos at the door, and they're going to write about whatever needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got to do. I think if you choose not to, I think you're selling your own personal exploration of who you are as a writer. You're just selling it short.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, very insightful, and I think I learned about a month's worth of knowledge in that 5 minutes. So thank you.
I'm sorry for that.
No.
I don't mean to make anybody process more than they need to.
Oh, no, do not be sorry. I like learning things quick and fast and listening to other people and hearing what they have to say about doing what you guys do. I mean, obviously, I'm not on that side of the fence yet.
well, you know what? And on that same thing, Crystal, though, I don't mean to say that everything's got to be like that either. I think writing, like I write happy songs too, and
mm-hmm.
Light songs. And I think that the world needs those. The world needs those probably more than they need the sad songs, the sad real songs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's being honest either way, whether it's a happy light song or it's a very serious song. I think that honesty. Mom and dads across America are correct when they say honesty is the best policy.
Oh, yes.
I'm here to say that I've tried it all ways, and at the end of the day, I got to give them credit for that. That's
mm-hmm.
the truth.
Honesty is the best policy. I will agree with you there. You said that happy songs are kind of in right now. And, the other day I was flipping through radio stations, and up here we've got, about 3 of them that are top 40 stations. And I couldn't figure out why, that kind of electro-pop is so popular right now. And I'm like, it's just going through its cycle. But I think you have hit the nail on the nose when you say fun and happy is in.
Yeah, I mean, I think, people, I mean, the music will always be a reflection of what the people are looking for, what people need, you know. And I think that the world, especially our country right now, happy thoughts can be in high demand. And, letting loose and having a good time. And, people need that. And which is why I will say I think it's infinitely harder to write a happy song than it is to write a sad song, because people are always introspective and wanting to, feeling, like writing a song when they're sad, and it's easier. I think it comes more naturally when people are having a good time and they're living life. They don't want to stop the visceral experience of what they're doing to be like, it's so great, I got to write a song about it. I got to write a song about this. So whenever they do come out, I always feel like, happy songs are sort of happy accidents. It's like, wow, this is really worked out to be. This is a great song. It's a really great song. It's upbeat, and it's uplifting, and it's happy, and, so.
All right. Very cool. Now, I saw you guys perform down at the Triple Rock Club down in Minneapolis. You played with American Scarecrows down there. How was that experience? Was it kind of the same as everything else, or does every venue give you something a little different?
Oh, every venue gives you something different. It was a great place. We had just started the tour. I think I remember personally my only problem that I had at that time was that I've been cursed with having a pretty bad ragweed allergy, and the ragweed was like really hard on me at that particular time of our tour. So I remember not feeling like 100%, but
well, you definitely gave it
so
100%.
Cool. Oh well, thanks very much. And I think there's that's a great place. It's a great room. I can't wait to go back. I love Minneapolis. With our band, we talk about it all the time. That's such a cool city. There's a few cities across the country that we find ourselves popping into where you're like, wow, this town just feels like tomorrow is going to be bigger than today, and it's just everything is really fresh and young and vibrant. And Minneapolis has that feel. Austin has that feel. Portland and Columbus is a town that has that feel for us too. It's nice to call home.
Oh, very fun. You should make your way just a little bit north and come up to Duluth.
I want to.
And when you do, let me know.
Oh, absolutely.
Now,
definitely, we want to be in Duluth for sure.
Oh, very fun. Oh, very good to hear. Now, when I saw you play on stage, I was reading a quick little, your little Facebook page here, and it says that your vocals, guitar, and ukulele. And when I saw you up on stage, it almost looked like it was like a guitar body almost, but a ukulele almost banjo-like neck and head. Was that custom built for you, or is that actually something?
That actually is something. It's that guitar that you saw is a 60s Gibson tenor guitar.
Okay.
And they got popular, I think, when the folk scene. It was originally something that from what I've been told, I'm no historian, but I was a ukulele player. I do a lot of my writing with a baritone ukulele because it's just an instrument that's always kind of called to me. I like how small it is. I like it's like a pillow on the couch. It's always right there, and so I've always really enjoyed playing them. I like the tone of them, and they're great songwriting tools. So, but they don't resonate well. So when we would start writing songs and playing stuff where it's like, look, we want Greg on the piano and Eric's got a lead line. It'd be nice to have some guitar playing here. We need an instrument that, like, would you strum some chords or play the acoustic guitar? It's like I could do that, but I'm really, to be honest, I can't play very well. So, I'm really good with the ukulele. And, so I found myself looking into instruments that I could find that sounded like a guitar, but I could play like a ukulele. So basically that tenor guitar, which was, probably originally made for, someone who used to play banjo and crossing over into guitar, that has more of a guitar sound. I turned it into just a big baritone ukulele. So that's how I play. And actually lately here I've actually been playing on this part of the tour with my baritone ukulele. So I've been playing with my little guy.
Oh, okay.
If you're in Grand Rapids, Michigan tonight, you'll see me playing on a smaller guitar. It looks like a little kid's guitar.
Well, I will jump in my car right now and rat race over there.
All right. Sounds good.
Only if I was Superman would I actually get there in a reasonable amount of time.
Mm.
But I'm not.
Right.
Darn. The dream's dead. No.
I'm so glad. That's amazing that you picked that up. Though a lot of people, it just goes right over their heads. They don't even notice that it's a guitar with 4 strings on it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, during I just lost my train of thought. I do apologize. Oh my goodness. During your Triple Rock Club set, I had to have a laugh at what you said. You said something along the lines of, well, I make funny faces when I sing, but you should all see yourselves when you listen to our music. And I just had to laugh at that. And is that kind of more of the theater in you coming out?
I think so. When I was young and I was trained as a singer, I sang in choir groups and stuff when I was a kid and grew up. And I think the one thing that all of those groups seem to teach kids is, which makes sense for that type of singing, to not look like you're straining, to not look like you're, you want to look like you're singing effortlessly. Mm-hmm. And so there's a certain amount of not showing emotion when you sing. And I think maybe it was in my youth of being trained that way, that when it was like I finally got to write my own songs, I could be as passionate as I wanted to. I could be like, remembering, listening to like Van Morrison when I was in high school, and we're seeing him like in the last waltz, and he's like, losing it, and you're like, man, like that's that kind of stuff. It's like that's for me, I'm like, I would love to try that, and I think that, so I think that there's a part of my theater background that probably I could say is responsible for that, but I think that that's more than anything, it's just a matter of having the courage to do, to be as real as you can about it. Again, it's like the way I look at singing, I try to use my whole body. I try to use my whole body when I perform, because sometimes you need that to hit the note the way you hear it in your head. I guess I use my whole body because I think that it's, I wasn't blessed with a voice like Jeff Buckley, where you can stand still and just like, destroy people with like how amazing your voice is. I've always been more of a you've got to put your whole body into it to get out what it is you mean to sing about, and sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it's not as easy as just standing there and holding the mic stand and trying to look cool. And again, that also comes down to at some point I just gave up on trying to look cool. I thought that not to again keep harping on it, but honesty is the best policy. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be honest up here, and if somebody doesn't like me or doesn't like the songs or the music, that they can say, it's not for me, but I can at least appreciate that guy was giving everything he had to that music, to what he was doing, and so that's for me. I feel like the song, if you wrote a song and that song was written with passion and vigor and that kind of emotion, I feel that an audience is due that when they come to see you perform live. I don't think that anyone came paying money through the door to watch a watered down, not as emotional version of something like that. For me, it's always been the hardest thing to try to record emotion on a studio album. It's very hard to convey that and on something that you can only hear. And I would say that when people see us play, they usually walk away and say, wow, that band, it's a great band. You got to see them live. They're a really great live show, which maybe we are, or maybe we're not. I'm not. That's too close for me to really make a comment about, but I do make funny faces when I sing, Crystal. I do, and I try to tell people, I sometimes say it because I don't want, rule number one is to not, you don't want to justify your performance before you do it, as an artist. But, I like to let people know that because I think that it lets them know that I am aware. People, I've seen a lot of artists that come off very contrived or very overly emotional, or they've got a shtick or whatever. And I sometimes like to just say, in an effort to not be cool, I just try to throw it out there and let people know, I make some funny faces, and I get excited, and I like to sweat, and I like to jump up and down, and I like to I can definitely get carried away with what we do. So
well,
hopefully that's something they like, and it keeps them entertained and staying in the building,
Mm-hmm. That just makes it that more entertaining for everyone.
Yeah. So that's my hope.
All right. Well, it's doing its job.
Good.
Now, what's next on your agenda? Touring, it sounds like, and anything else in the works?
We are touring. I know that we've got a Canadian tour coming up here for the end of the year. So as our fall tour was coming to an end, we have been added on to go play in Canada for the latter half of November and part of December up until Christmas. And then I know that we early next year, early 2013, we're going to be doing a West Coast tour, and then I'm hoping to get back before spring so we can be writing a new record and getting a chance to sit down. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff and a lot of great things this year, and we've got the beginnings of some pretty great new songs, and I'm really excited to get them down. Mm-hmm. So I want new music for people in 2013, and I want to get to a lot of the cities that we haven't gotten to yet this year.
All right. Sounds like a great plan. I wish you the best of luck on your tour and with the new album, of course. I can't wait to hear it. And I can't wait until you come a little bit further up this way.
Duluth, we got to do it. Duluth, Superior. Let's make it happen.
All right. Sounds like a plan. And if you need help scheduling anything or asking to go someplace, I don't know the area as well as some people, but I know where the venues are at.
Crystal, you have a date with Red, White, and Blue at Sarah's table at some date coming up at some point.
All right. That sounds like a plan. I'm going to hold you to it.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. It was extremely insightful and wonderful talking to you.
Well, thank you for letting me ramble on and on.
Oh, not a problem at all. I'd rather have people ramble on and show me a little bit more than going straight for it. So.
No, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.